Welcome back. So today we are going to do a super fast steamed chasiu bao, just like they have in dim sum restaurants, with a few corners cut. So let's get started. So we're going to make the dough first, and the dough is really easy. It's only 3 ingredients, and the ingredients are self-rising flour, and I'm just going to put in, it's about a cup there. And those of you who know me know that I don't measure an awful lot. And we're going to do this more by feel and texture than by the amount. But we've got about a cup of flour there. We're going to put in 2 tablespoons of sugar. There we go. And just a dash of salt. Looks like about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, if you really need to know. And we're going to put in some half and half. And you could use cream if you wanted to, but you want to use something that has a little bit of fat in it, because that will help with the texture. And it's good if it's at room temperature as well. So let's put, I'm going to put about half, this is a 1/4 cup. I'm going to put half of it in to start with, because you don't want to put too much. And the texture that we're going to be looking for is when it forms a soft ball. If it's a slurry, it's way too wet. And if it forms couscous or little balls, that means it's too dry. So here we go. Look at that. There's a ball. A nice soft ball. So that's what we want. Just a soft ball. All right. And it's a little bit sticky. So I'm just going to add maybe a tablespoon or so of flour. And we'll just ball uniform. There we go. Oh, that's great. Okay, so there. Soft ball of dough. So it doesn't stick to me, but it is soft. So I'm just going to let this rest. I'll just put it in here for now. Let it rest for maybe 5 minutes or so. And while that's resting, what we'll do is we'll get the insides of the chasiu bao cooked. So we're going to be using some ground chicken, but you could use ground beef, ground pork, ground lamb. You could use crumbled up tofu if you really want to keep it meatless. So I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of some oil there in my nice hot wok. And let's put in for this, we'll put in like about a 1/4 pound of our ground chicken. We'll let that sizzle up. And into this, we're going to put in a mixture of sauces. So as this is browning up, I've got 2 sauces here that I'm going to use. They're both Chinese style sauces. One is I grew up with this one. This is chasiu sauce, which is it's a fluorescent red, sweet, thick sauce, often used to make spare ribs. You know how they're red? Well, this is how they get red. And then I'm going to use chasiu sauce, which is a more traditional brown sauce. This is very salty, the chasiu sauce. And I'm going to combine these two, and I'm going to go 2 to 1. So 2 parts of the red aso sauce and 1 part of this very strong chasiu sauce. So let's do that. So let's go a full teaspoon of the red sauce and just a half a teaspoon of the chasiu sauce, just like that. And then we'll just mix these in. And get those sauces mixed in. So let's just make sure that our chicken is cooked up. There's a fair amount of moisture there that we want to cook off. You can see that sizzling. All right, just a couple minutes. Remember, this is ground up, so it's going to cook very quickly. So let's get this out. So this is going to be our filling. And this will thicken up a little bit as it cools off. There's a fair amount of cornstarch in both of those sauces. There we go. So we're going to let that cool off. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to kind of bend time a little bit here. I've made up some chasiu baos in advance, and I'm going to show you how to steam them, and they will steam as we are making the chasiu baos. So just pretend we've kind of skipped over just for a second. And these are what they're going to look like when they're made. They're kind of cute little packets, and I'll show you how to do that. And what we'll do is we're going to put our steamer right over that hot water. And what I'm using, I put these on some grape leaves that we have. If you want, you could use some wax paper. You could use lettuce leaves or cabbage leaves as well. So I'm going to put these in, and we're going to steam these for 10 minutes. If you had bigger ones, you might want to go 12 minutes or something like that. So they're in the steamer, they are steaming up. I'm going to start this just so that we pay attention. So let's go back to our dough. And so because we've let this rest a little bit, you'll see that the self-rising aspect of this flour has actually started to create a light dough, which is what we want. I'm just gonna, there we go. And let's just grab a little bit of flour, put it on our board. I'm just gonna roll that just a little bit. All right, so let's kind of break off a golf ball size. And you could roll this out with a on the rolling board into a circle, or if you happen to have one of these nifty tortilla presses, this works really well to make nice round circles. So we'll just press that, and we've got this cool circle, just like that. And what we'll do is we are going to put a nice big teaspoonful. Actually, if you're measuring, that's probably like a tablespoon of this filling. And we're going to go right around. We want to go opposite sides. We'll pinch up to the top. I guess you call it northeast, southwest. We'll pinch that. And then we'll take northeast, southwest, what have you. And we'll just pinch that together. And what we want to do is we want to give it a little height. So we'll just kind of rotate that around like that. That puffs it up a little bit. We'll put that right on one of our leaves. So let's show you that one more time. All right. So let's roll that out. Put that right on our tortilla press. So one other little trick that you might use here is to thin out the edges of the dough. Just kind of keeping in mind that those edges are going to be brought together on the top. So there'll be a tendency for there to be a lot of dough where you pinch them together. And if you pinch the edges so that they're a little bit thinner, there won't be quite as much dough on the top. And if you're rolling it out, you would just kind of roll the edges with a rolling pin. So let's put that in there. Maybe a little bit more. It is tempting to put a lot on this, but you have to keep in mind that you have to have enough space so that you can pinch the sides together. If you put too much in and you try to pinch those sides, the filling can leak out and it will make a mess. So we've got the kind of northeast, southwest, and then those 4 remaining corners, you just put those out into the center. You pinch it. Some people will give it a little twist to lock it, just like that. All right. So here you go, right on those leaves. All right. Let's go with one more. So here's a fun leaf to use. These are basil. This is a basil leaf. So I'm gonna make one on basil. It's gonna be a little bit smaller because the basil is smaller. So we'll make a smaller one. Just roll that. That right there. There. All right, we'll just pinch that right around and use the weight of the dough to stretch it out a little bit. There. And gotta remember not to put in quite as much since this one's smaller. Won't be able to close it. I think that's good. It's interesting, it always wants to run to the edge. All right. So we'll take north and south, east and west, or west and east, and then There we go. We'll pinch that. All right, and we'll just kind of puff it up a little bit. Just kind of rotate and push the base together. Gives a little bit of height. And that will go right on there like that. So just a couple more minutes left. Let me just wash my hands here. And I'll bet, since that water was so hot when I put it in, that steam has really probably done what it's supposed to do. So we'll rush it a little bit, even though it says we have 2 more minutes. Those aren't really big baos. And of course, the inside is already cooked. So what we really want to do is make sure that the dough is done. Before I look in, a couple things. You can actually freeze these after they're steamed. So just put them in a bag, put them in the steamer, not in the steamer, in the freezer, and then when you want to have a fresh chasiu bao, just take them out of the bag, put them in the steamer. You can also microwave them if you have a microwave, like a minute and a half in the microwave, and they'll be ready to go. They'll actually puff up a little bit too. So we've got a minute or so. So there they are. So they're all puffed up, and I'll just show you just comparing with how they started in case you forgot. I guess you could rewind, but see how they've puffed up. So let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to shut that off, and I'm going to put in some cooler water just so I can reach in without burning myself. And then we'll just, ooh, that's hot. I'll grab these guys. Okay, you can see this one here, I filled it a little bit too much, and so it was some of the filling has come out. There we go. There, so these are hot. And some places will want to, they'll actually kind of leave them open so they pop open a little bit so people can kind of see the insides. But I closed mine. So here we can just kind of, there's nice juicy filling. Guess I'll have a taste. They're pretty puffy. Chasiu bao, super fast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.